Arizona football will travel to Santa Clara, California on Friday in hopes of winning the Pac-12 Championship title. Arizona basketball will host Rival on Saturday and looks to keep their undefeated season alive. Arizona's hockey's new head coach, Chad Berman, joins us later in the show to talk some Wildcat hockey. And if you need help with fantasy football, we have got you covered. All this and more coming up on UATV Channel 3 Sports. Welcome to Channel 3 Sports. I'm your host, Zoe Wolkowitz. Let's run down what sports to attend this weekend around UA athletics. Friday and Saturday night, Arizona ice hockey will compete in a 2-game rivalry showdown against the Arizona State Sun Devils. The puck will drop at the Tucson Convention Center both Friday and Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. Saturday will be an afternoon full of basketball action right here in Tucson as the Wildcats take on the number 9 Gonzaga Bulldogs. Tip-off is scheduled for 3:15 p.m. at the McHale Center. Last year, Arizona basketball was arguably one of the most talented basketball teams in the country, but got knocked out before they could claim their 5th Final Four. This season, the Wildcats were ranked number 2 in the preseason poll and are currently 6-0 and ranked number 3 in the country. However, the Cardiac Cats have had some pretty close games to teams that are not even ranked. So what's going on? Are the Wildcats just simply overrated this year, or are they just trying to get their feet on the ground at the beginning of the season?
I wouldn't say they're overrated. I mean, they're trying to get their feet on the ground. Yeah, they're a new team. They got to gel together. People still got to find their roles. Like, you see even Gabe York in his 3rd season, like, coming into his role as just the setup shooter. He'll nail everyone if he's open. And also, they have such a big target on their back. I mean, the team that beats them, if a team beats them, they're going to be stoked. Last year when Cal beat them, I got 20 text messages from people from Cal saying, "Ha ha ha, we beat you." So it's just a big target. They're gonna figure it out. They'll win a lot of games this year.
Oh yeah, just like you said, they haven't even hit 5th gear yet. It's still beginning of the season. They're still trying to figure out who's gonna be their guys that come in and night out. There's a lot of guys who haven't even played yet. Guys like Craig Victor and that's such nature. And Miller said it could either be 9 guys or it can be 6 guys. So. And like you said, every team is going to give the Wildcats their A game, and it's just a matter of time until the Wildcats slip up. But right now, I think they're just dipping their feet in. Right
5 games in, or
exactly.
Whatever it is.
So.
Yeah, well, this season, college basketball has some teams that appear completely dominant on the court and play like they already have the 2015 national tournament ring on their finger. So what teams seem to maybe be kind of a roadblock in Arizona's journey to claim their 2nd NCAA title?
I believe that the biggest contender is Kentucky. Coach John Calipari's 7-0 Wildcats have been so good this year that some people think they could beat Philadelphia 76ers. When they played the Kansas Jayhawks, they won 72-40 and beat them worse than the score even indicated. At the time, the Jayhawks were 5 in the nation. Coach Cal has Dominique Hawkins, Willie Cauley-Stein, the Harrison brothers, and a few more players from last year's roster on this team, on top of freshmen Devin Booker, Trey Lyles, and Tyler Ulis. This is probably the only college team, or any team for that matter, that subs starting lineups and not just players. In the Calipari era, critics have perceived Kentucky as one-and-done school, but by the end of this year, I believe that perception is going to change.
Them Kentucky Wildcats are something else, but you know what? I got to give it to Wisconsin. Wisconsin for the 2nd year in a row. The Badgers are a team that everyone in Arizona hopes to see have a terrible season, especially after Wisconsin beating the Wildcats in the Elite 8 by just 1 point. Unfortunately for the Cats, this may not be the case, as this looks like a legitimate title contender, especially with Frank Kaminsky this season, especially after winning the Battle for Atlantis tournament. But the real question is, can they beat another title contender? Because tomorrow they take on number 4 Duke and Jahlil Okafor.
Yeah, like you said, these 2 teams are something that is just scary, when Arizona's trying to win another title. So it's so competitive. Well, it's definitely a great year to be a Wildcat, and Arizona is the only university to have a top 10 team in football and in basketball. And this Friday night, Arizona football will play against the Oregon Ducks, and only one team will come out claiming to be this year's Pac-12 champion. All this and more coming up on UATV Channel 3 Sports.
I'm Derek Williams, your former U of A Wildcat. You're watching UATV. Don't change the channel. Tonight, the Arizona Wildcats pull away with a
Come game
35-28
time,
victory
touch your balls on the
over the
shoulders
Nevada
of
Wildcats.
this
They
season's
improved to
strongest
3-0 for the third straight season.
Don't change the channel because we're back with more UATV Channel 3 Sports. I'm Zoe Wolkowitz. Joining the program again are analysts Justin Spears and Jake Cavanugh. The Pac-12 South was one of the most competitive divisions in college football this season, so it's only fitting that it came down to the last weekend at the same time to decide who would get to play for the conference title. That led to last Friday during College Football Rivalry Week, when Arizona defeated upstate rival Arizona State 42-21 to win the Pac-12 South. On Friday, Arizona will play against Oregon for the Pac-12 Championship title. If Arizona can repeat history and beat Oregon for the second time this season, Rich Rodriguez's team might have as much acclaim as anyone and would likely be one of the highest-ranked two-loss teams. At the beginning of the year, Arizona in the playoffs sounded like a peyote-induced hallucination. Yet, at the end of November, the Wildcats are not only in conversation, but they might actually have a chance to control it. So, guys, what does Arizona need to do to win the Pac-12 and then hopefully maybe be a runner in the playoffs?
Well, first of all, obviously they need to beat Oregon for the third time in the last for the last 3 seasons. So Rich Rod on ESPN Tucson the other day, he was saying how they just need to stick to their game plan, not outdo themselves, not do too much, and they need to really pressure Mariota because that guy can do anything he wants if he's not. And what's going to be nice for them is Oregon's defense has Nick Wilson and Anu Solomon to worry about, so I don't think Solomon's going to go under that much pressure. And they also need teams to lose. They need Florida State to lose to Georgia Tech, Bama to lose to Mizzou, and then I believe it's Baylor to Kansas State. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a fun weekend.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, Marcus Mariota, the Heisman, a guy who could potentially win the Heisman this season. It all starts with the defensive side of the ball. Scooby Wright actually just won Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year today. Rich Rodriguez winning Coach of the Year this year. So, Arizona has a lot of momentum going in, but last time when Oregon played Arizona, Oregon had 3 offensive linemen out of that game, and that's when Arizona was able to get that pass rush and able to get to Marcus Mariota. So it should be fun because Oregon's got all their linemen back, and they're rolling right now. So it should be a good one in Santa Clara.
But regardless of who wins, I'm really excited that it's just 2 Pac-12 teams are making such a big stand because usually it's only the SEC, who's making national attention, and now Pac-12 is coming up.
And it's good for Arizona because it's their first Pac-12 championship, that they're playing in. So
it's their first double-digit win season since the late 90s.
Exactly.
So.
Desert Storm.
Yeah.
Rich Rod era.
Yeah.
Well, as college football is winding down, the NFL is heating up. For all of you fantasy football gurus out there, we have got all the inside scoop right now during Week 14. So, Jake, who do you have on your team right now that everyone should look out for?
Well, first, I have CJ Anderson. He has made me look like a genius. I got him after Ronnie Hillman got hurt. He had 22 points against Oakland, Week 10. He had 10 against St. Louis, 24 against Miami, and then 23 against Kansas City. So he's pretty consistent. He's a big option, nice receiver out of the backfield. And then next I have Trey Mason. He put up 33 against Oakland last week. He's getting a lot of carries. He's a big part of the offense in St. Louis. He's a nice pickup if he's still available. And then last, Kenny Stills. The Saints on Sunday put up 35 points, finally started to look like what we all know New Orleans as being, high-powered offense. And it wasn't centered around Jimmy Graham, so that allowed Brees to target Stills a lot, which got him, 22 points. So, good pickup.
Justin, what's your team kind of looking like?
I'm gonna go starting off with the 2-10 Jets and their running back Chris Ivory. You don't hear a lot about the Jets this season because they're just so awful. But right now, they have quarterback woes. So if they have quarterback woes, what are they going to do? They're going to go to the rushing attack. They have a nice 1-2 punch with Chris Johnson and Chris Ivory. So, I'm going to have to go give it my boy Chris Ivory. Next guy we have is kind of like a diamond in the rough. I picked him up in Fantasy League. I always give a rookie a good look because he might explode. I'm going to have to give it to receiver Mike Evans. Last year we all know Mike Evans was almost the Robin to Johnny Manziel, was all SEC and even earned the All-American honors. So, he's coming in this season, kind of started off rough, but, he's picking it up and he's expected to get 22 points playing against Detroit and their kind of flaky defensive back. So it should be interesting for Mike Evans. And last but not least, I got to give it to your St. Louis Rams and their beloved kicker, Greg Zwerline, Legatron.
Greg the leg.
Greg the leg. Exactly. He's a phenomenal kicker. In practices, he's knocking down 60 to 65-yarder field goals. That's unheard of. So, and I've been having him on my fantasy team for the past 3 seasons, and every game he's been averaging at least 12 points for me. So, very consistent kicker. So
those kickers come clutch.
Exactly.
My fantasy yesterday.
Well, my fantasy tip for the week is definitely go with the Rams defense. Regardless if you think they're a good team or not, fantasy-wise, Rams all the way. Also, Tony Romo, regardless of your opinion on him, I know Jake hates him, but he's great for fantasy, and you have to look at those players and defense that are just better for fantasy versus regardless of your opinion.
Unless it's Tony Romo.
Well, Coach Berman is with us to talk some Arizona hockey and let Wild fans get to know his new face at the TCC when we come back to Channel 3 Sports on UA TV.
I say Hasselhoff, the Hawk, get Hawk with UA TV. Stay tuned, don't change the dial. Hi, it's David Hasselhoff, the Hawk, get Hawk with UA TV. Stay tuned, don't change the dial.
For free, I keep my enemies closer than my mirror ever gets to me. And if you think that there is shelter in this attitude, where do you feel the warmth of my gratitude? I get the feeling that it's 2 against 1, already fighting me. So what's another one?
Great to still be with you on UATV Channel 3 Sports. I'm Zoe Wolkowitz. Our guest for this episode is Arizona head coach Chad Berman. This is Berman's first year as head coach for the Wildcats after he took over the team from former head coach Sean Hogan. Berman was previously an assistant coach at Robert Morris University, where they made it to the ACHA Division I National Championship game, but unfortunately lost to Arizona State University. Now the Wildcats are ranked number 20 and play the upstate rivals of Arizona State this coming weekend. Chad, we're glad you could be with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
So first, how are you doing today?
Good. Yeah, excited to be here. First time.
So before we dive in and get all wrapped up in the hockey talk, how is it for you personally as coming from an assistant hockey coach, now being head coach of a major organization?
Yeah, it's quite a transition for sure. It's completely different responsibilities. Certainly my plate's full, and I'm still adjusting every day. Particularly at this university, the job's really big here, so there's a lot more. We didn't have the media and the season tickets and sponsorship stuff to deal with, so it's been a great learning curve, but it's been a lot of fun for sure.
Well, the past 2 years, Arizona has gotten to actually be able to recruit players, so the team is pretty young. So how have the veteran players, which there's only a handful of them, been able to help you through this process?
Yeah, certainly. Certainly their familiarity is huge. The guidance we can get from guys like Gleason, Nowicki, Efforts, those are great kids. And so certainly the influence they can have on the younger guys and kind of show them the ropes and the way things get done here is big. They've been a great asset to me as far as showing me a lot of things as far as even just how to get here. So.
Oh, yeah, perfect. It's
Yeah.
a little confusing getting here.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Well, Arizona this season has had, some weird games, like against great teams you guys play a great, sometimes pull the upset, and then against teams that you guys should have just completely knocked out of the ballpark there.
Yep.
So what's something that the team really has to focus on moving forward?
Yeah, I can promise you I'm more frustrated with that. So, I think for me it's about we're still putting together the championship mentality that it takes to be a top level team. I think we have some good young talent. I don't think we've quite established a standard of what it takes day to day to be a top competitive top 10 team. We want to be a top 10 team. That starts every day in practice, and I think at times we think we can just show up and hop on the ice, and it's all good, but it's not about that. I really am stressing a lot with this group on everything you do to prepare. Our preparation's been inconsistent, and as a result, our games have been inconsistent.
Yeah, that's a really good motto kind of to go with. Well, I'm going to fire some statements at you and just fill it. I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah,
and just
I could say anything.
fill it in with your most honest answer.
Just a one-word answer?
Yep.
All right.
So, best shot on the team?
O'Day.
Hardest worker on the team?
Oof. Wilbur.
Hardest hitter on the team?
Boy, that's sorry, this is not this shouldn't be this hard. Let's go Vasquez.
Vasquez, all right. Fastest player on the team?
I'm gonna have to go O'Day. Yeah.
2 for 2 on
Yeah.
O'Day.
I gotta stop complimenting him.
Best part of living in Tucson, if there's any.
Yeah, I do. I love it. I love the mountains. For me, something about the drive home and just being around mountains. I've never lived around mountains, so for me, that's pretty special.
So, best reason for fans to come out for an Arizona hockey game?
Because it's been a long time since we've beaten them at home, and it's going to happen this weekend.
All right, and last question. Are we going to beat ASU this weekend?
Beat you to it. Yeah, I certainly hope to. It's a really good team. They're much more skilled than us. They're quicker than us. They're better than us up and down the roster. But I'm excited about the game plan we have. It's going to be essential that we slow them down, particularly in the neutral zone. If we give them time and space and give them a lot of opportunity to make plays, they're going to burn us. So a lot of our preparations have been on that. We got some different things we're going to throw at them than we didn't last time, and we played them competitively. We played them close last time. We got to find a way to get to their net. We have yet to really challenge Levin and their goaltender there. So I certainly think he's beatable. We just have yet to test him, really.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining
Thanks for
us.
having me.
Jake and Justin are back with us for 30 seconds when we return to the program after these short messages. You are watching Channel 3 Sports on UATV. Perfect. Thank you.
Where is this going? This is just on campus.
And then it goes on YouTube.
Make no mistake, I don't do anything for free. I keep my enemies closer than my mirror ever gets to me. And if you think that there is shelter in this attitude, where do you feel the warmth of my gratitude? I get the feeling that it's 2 against 1. I'm already fighting me, so what's another one?
Hi, it's David Hasselhoff, the Hawk. Get Hoff with UATV. Stay tuned. Don't
Friday
change
and
the dial.
Saturday night, Arizona Ice Hockey will compete in a 2.
Make no mistake, I don't do anything for free. I keep my enemies closer than my mirror ever gets to me. And if you think that there is shelter in this attitude, where do you feel the warmth of my gratitude? I get the feeling that it's 2 against 1. I'm already fighting me, so what's another one?
guys, David Hasselhoff, the Hawk. Get Hoff with UATV. Stay tuned. Don't change the dial.
We cap this edition of the show off, per usual, with a game of 30 seconds. In this game, the analysts and I each have half a minute to voice any particular topic in sports of our choosing. Justin, start us off.
Well, obviously, we're talking about college football, but there's also a lot of teams that are getting rid of their head coach. Nebraska getting rid of Bo Pelini just after 7 seasons. I mean, come on, the guy's been, he's been taking Nebraska to the Big 12 championship year in and year out. So I don't know if they're just looking for a fresh start, even though, Bo Pelini's been there for a handful of years. But also, Michigan getting rid of Brady Hoke. And the fact is that today, rumored coaches that could potentially take in the head coaching spot is Les Miles from LSU and alumni, Jim Harbaugh, current coach of the 49ers. So, no matter what, looks like the Michigan Wolverines are going to get a pretty nice head coach.
Yep, big name.
All right, Jake, why don't you take it away?
So, thank you, Zoe. So, I have been a Laker fan all my life, and all I hear from people who are not Laker fans is how Kobe Bryant hogs the ball all the time. Well, Kobe Bryant is the first player to have over 30,000 points and over 10,000 assists in a career. Yes, he's 36 years old and he's been doing this for a really long time, but that is still very impressive to do. And even this year, there are some games where he's putting up like 33 shots, 34 shots, and people are still criticizing him. But he's doing what he has to do, doesn't have too much to work with. He's 36 years old. His body is still there. He's better than a lot of guys who are like 22 out there. So that's my little spiel about Kobe tonight. Just appreciating a legend.
I mean, watching any of those NBA players, it's crazy to think about. They're like 28, and those are some of the most athletic people in the world. Like, what?
But he's 36.
Kobe's 36 and balling out like he's a rookie. So, it's the Mamba for you.
Eat your vegetables.
Yep, exactly.
All right, well, I'll close this out. So, if you're not familiar with the whole Ferguson thing, right, like situation going on, you probably should be, first of all. But on Sunday, the St. Louis Rams came out actually in their protest thing, like, hands up, don't shoot. And the NFL is not going to fine them. But I just think, they should have not have done that, whether or not they're getting fined or not, because that is just a really sensitive topic. You do not need to bring, sports are always something that's supposed to bring people together, just kind of be like a happy thing to take mind off the real world for a few hours. And they just brought that straight onto the field. And so that was interesting to see. I know it upset a lot of people, whether what side you're on, but I don't know. But that'll do it for this week's episode of Channel 3 Sports. Check out our previous shows online and make sure to tune in again next week. For Jake Cavanugh and Justin Spears, I'm Zoe Wolkowitz, and signing off and wishing you a wonderful last week of the first semester. You are watching Channel 3 Sports on UATV.